Thank you so much to everybody who is supporting me on Patreon. Your generosity and support is greatly appreciated. I love you all so much. If you like what I do and want to support me in a more personal way, then consider joining my Patreon page today. The link is at the top of the description. Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to the Triton LEGO Railway Layout. For segment 11, we are making a return to the goods yard. So this is goods yard part 4. And the main attraction for this bit is the massive coaling tower. This was not on my mind when I first made the goods yard, but recently I thought, well, in my plan I've written down a goods yard part 4 for the overall layout. What could I put there? So I dug around and I thought, well, you know, a coaling tower kind of makes sense because I have my railway is pretty much run on steam locos, so this makes sense ultimately. Now, there were a few designs to choose, but this one makes the most sense for me for a few reasons. First of all, it's one that I can see working like in my own mind. This one kind of makes sense mechanically. And secondly, and the more important one, is this is easier to build. Now, there are taller ones where you have to lift up a bit of track, and it can get so complicated and out of proportion really quickly. I didn't want to do that. And with how I've been able to build this with some black and yellow bricks, it matches some of the other things I've built in the goods yard really well. And the overall look to this thing, I think, is just, you know, quite nice. It worked out really well. No bricklink orders either, which is why I was able to get this done within the day. So what I want to do now is quickly kind of describe how I believe this function works. So hopper wagons show up full of coal and they open up at the bottom into this pit here. Now this is used through some off-brand track that I bought. I had previously shown these off for the corner pieces. Those corners have now been updated, so the sleepers have been attached, as well as official LEGO tracks being used in place of all those off-brand rubbish ones. That also means I can use the off-brand ones to chop up the middle bits and create this look, which is, again, quite nice. I did something similar for an ash pit on my shed segments. Be sure to check those out. But yes, coal is unloaded from the hopper wagons into here, and there are conveyor belts which is shown through these tiles, and it kind of goes through this area here, taking up all the coal, and it gets it ready into the hopper to go into other wagons or the tenders on my steam locos. So through those conveyor belts it goes up this chute here, which is demonstrated through these dark grey bricks here. It's a bit slim for my liking, but having built this without making any bricklink orders, I thought, well, I'm going to have to go slim because it's coming along really nicely and I don't want to wait for this to be finished. I've been able to make this piece at the top here where the coal shoots out and sits into the hopper with some interesting techniques and interesting shapes. That 2x3 slope bit with a little bit sticking out at the end, it's an interesting shape, and I don't think I've used this for anything else when it comes to trains. But overall, you can see the gap there where coal could shoot out. And yeah, I think it was quite nice. So that comes out of there and it sits in the hopper. Now there should be a small platform, I suppose. I don't know what the actual word would be there. But the coal wouldn't just fly all the way through. That would be quite pointless and stupid. But there would be something that would catch the coal in here, and there would be like a chain or a lever that would open up this hopper and let the coal fall out. And so that cycle is all done. And it's quite nice. It actually took a while for me to figure out, you know, how does it go from the hopper wagons to the main hopper itself? But yeah, that's the fun part about trains, and you make your own layouts. You learn things like this, and you build stuff that you understand and make sense of, and that's how you kind of define your own layouts, which I think is really exciting. So this is the miscellaneous detail I have for this segment of the goods yard. It's just a nice long beam. It stands out because it's yellow, of course. But it doesn't do anything, it doesn't mean anything, there's no proper connection to the coal tower itself. It's just here to fill some space, and it's something else to look at. You may have noticed as well that this is the only goods yard segment to only be built on 4 base plates, where everything else was built on 6. Now that's okay, because, you know, there really isn't that much else I can build on this segment, because the coal tower is the main attraction, so you may as well just fill up the length space than go in depth. But yeah, I think this is quite cool. Again, the bigger pieces were put to good use. The stickers really do help, and all those details along the top do look quite nice. So these are the ladder pieces that I am using for the coal tower itself. Now, I saw that the design that I'm using here has a platform along the top, I'm not too sure what goes on up there because I couldn't really get a close-up on any details or any kind of mechanical functions or buttons or levers or anything that was going on to kind of make it worthwhile. So at the top on that platform, it's just the end of the chute. There's no, again, no levers or anything mechanical or functional. It's just there, and if there are any details that I can figure out in the future, I will add those. And I want to quickly say that ladder, not exactly the safest thing. There's no guardrail anywhere, but, you know, it's out of sight. This is around the back of the goods yard, so it's not too much of an issue. Speaking of the back of the goods yard, and having mentioned the number of base plates used for this segment, this comes after the segment that introduced narrow gauge properly. Now, I'm gonna say no more on that for this video because things have had to change. I'm going to be doing a kind of goods yard revisited video where I showcase what I've had to do to modify the goods yard for this segment to fit. It's interesting, but I think you know where I'm going with it. And there we go, that is it for this episode on the Triton Lego Railway Layout. Segment 11 is returning to the goods yard. Nice big tall coal tower. It looks simple, but I really love how this looks when you just focus on the coal tower. That one small bit, it's really cool. I think it's because I also got this done in a day. I'm actually quite happy with how this turned out. But that does also mean there is one segment left to go before I can call the layout finished. It's so exhausting. I haven't started building it yet at the time of recording this video, but having to, you know, kind of get more parts ready, it's going to be nice to finish the layout. But I'm not too sure what I'm going to do afterwards. I'll leave that to, you know, for the future to decide. So thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to everybody who is supporting me on Patreon. Your generosity and support is always greatly appreciated. Recently, I got some printed bricks with the Patreon members' names on them, and you will be immortalized on my LEGO Railway if you decide to join. Either tier, you get your name printed. I will always be thankful for your generosity. If you haven't joined the Triton LEGO Railway Discord server, then do so as well, because it is very fun to communicate with some of my subscribers and viewers. The link to my server is at the top of the description as well. Make sure you are entering your models for the monthly community challenge. And of all things, thank you so much for watching. I will see you all in the next episode. Bye-bye.